Okay, hi there, Yurds. So today we're going to be talking more about photojournalism, which is taking photos for journalism class, aka yearbook. Today we're going to be focusing in on planning for the end. Duh, end of the world. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about planning ahead of time for the end product, which is your spread. So, you need to think about the spread. First of all, we need to think about format. So when you're taking photos, you need to turn your camera. So when we are taking photos, you want to think about both horizontal and vertical format. That way it covers the story more effectively and you're giving yourself more visual variety. Variety is the spice of life. Variety gives you choices, gives you options, so turn your camera. Next, you want to talk about thinking ahead of time with varying the amount of subjects. So think about different groupings of students. 1, 2, 3, 4 student, 5 student, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Same thing with kids. Lots and lots of variety. Get clusters of girls, clusters of boys. Get the quiet kid in the corner. Get all races and all genders. Don't just take photos of the same person, but again, vary the amount of people. Do big group shots, do single close-up reaction shots. Think about your subjects. Lastly, think about sequence. We want to tell the story before, after, and during the event. So get there before, after, and during the event. Think about telling a sequence, so recording all stages of an activity. That way, when we're putting together a cluster of photos in the yearbook, we can have that whole sequence of events. You really got to give yourself variety. All right, composition. Photos should be composed with as much care taken as we do when we're reporting, writing, editing, and designing. Photos are no different, and photographers should take just as much care in their composition as the other elements of your books. Great photos don't just happen. Great storytelling opportunities happen, but if you're not ready, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so composition, let's talk about filling the frame. With the yearbook, our cameras zoom, but also you as a photographer will need to move. So you want to fill the entire frame, get close up, think about composition and framing inside that little box. If you're way out here, it doesn't matter. You got to bring the viewer in. So fill the frame, move your feet, move your body. You can zoom, but the best zoom is your feet. All right, control the background. Think about what is in the background. We don't want a pole coming out of this girl's head, this player. So if you have something that's in the way of your background, rotate your body, rotate the camera, move. So think about getting rid of elements that are going to distract from your subject. Control that background. Be mindful of what's around your subject matter. Focus on the CVI, Center of Interest. I don't know why there's a V. Whatever. Center of interest. There shouldn't be a V there. That's stupid. I didn't write this one. So be mindful of what your focal point is and make that the primary center of your viewer's attention. So your attention should be directed directly to your focal point. Don't have other junk in the photo. Make sure that they are the center of the interest so that it's very clear what your viewer should be focusing on. Your viewer is a squirrel. Squirrel! You got to make sure you keep their focus, okay? So make sure your composition lends to that. Leading lines are a wonderful composition technique. Leading lines are real or imaginary lines that direct the viewer's attention to that center of interest. So we have these beautiful leading lines here in the pool being made by the ropes or buoys, whatever you call those. I don't know what you call those. On either side, we also have beautiful leading lines being created with the arms of the swimmer. And all of that is directing us to the center of the interest, which is the viewer's, the subject matter's face, their cap right in here. That's our bullseye. So everything is kind of traveling our eye to our bullseye. That's what leading lines do. So look for opportunities to create those. Look for lines on the football field. Look for angles in a classroom to lead your viewer's eye to your subject matter. Okay, repetition, it's a great compositional technique. It's repeating a texture or an element. Repetition creates rhythm, creates interest for your viewer. It is great to have in your foreground and background. It's wonderful. You can see he's actually framing the center of interest right here. Get it? Framing, because it's wood and it's framing on a building, but it's also framing. So we have a repetition of this framing element, this design that's happening in the photo. It makes for a very interesting composition for your viewer. Again, we want to show them the photos that they can't take themselves or they're not smart enough to. Talking about framing, think about framing. Framing is when you use items or people to frame a composition, to direct your viewer's focus. So here my hands are framing my face. Okay, framing, get it? So here in this photo we have this girl. Our center of interest is her face. What's framing her is the position of her body. It highlights the subject. It makes it more interesting, and again, it creates that bullseye, a great compositional technique. And again, it's creating something more interesting that likely your viewer wouldn't just snap on their phone. Rule of thirds. This is huge. I want all of you to draw this in your notebooks, okay? Just draw a little basic stick figure thing for the actual image. But rule of thirds is where you have the rectangle of your photo, whether it's portrait or landscape, and we divide it in thirds both horizontally and vertically. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you see how it makes this grid of 9? Where these divisions are, the 1, 2, 3 divisions at the third markers, where they intersect, these are the optimum places to put your item of interest, your subject matter, your focal point. This is the strongest compositional placement for those. It is a great thing if you can set up your camera so you're taking the original photo, thinking about rule of thirds, but at the very least when you go in and you're cropping photos, crop your photos so they're using rule of thirds. There are times that we should break the rule of thirds, don't get me wrong. I like a nice center mounted with good leading lines, but most all photos can be highly improved if you crop to rule of thirds. So please, I'm watching you, put that in your notes and make it happen, all right? Trusting you. All right, next, composition. Think about different viewpoints. If you just take the same viewpoint where it's standing level, that's the way we see the world all the time. That's boring. Don't do that. Okay, good journalists, and we're going to practice this in class, and you'll see me be goofy, but a good journalist, a good photographer, they get nitty-gritty, they get dirty, they get on the ground, they get in stuff, they get up on stuff. So one way you can do that is by creating interesting compositions with bird's eye view. That means you're up high like a bird, looking down. Here you can see they're probably up in the rafters. Maybe they're on, I don't know what they could be on. Maybe they have like, I don't know how they did this photo, but it's wicked awesome. So we have our subject matter in the center. We've got this bullseye effect with all the circling. Looks like they use a fisheye lens. Like, this photo is kicking. And the bird's eye view, again, you're showing your viewer something they could not ever see. Worm's eye view. So this is just the opposite of birds. Birds, you're up high. Worm, think of yourself as a little worm on the ground looking up. What would a worm see? So you would see this girl cutting this hair from down below. Again, so much more interesting than just straight on. We're getting this great kind of leading lines being created with her hands. It's an interesting perspective. We've got rule of thirds. Dude, this photo is slamming. So get down low, get down high. Don't be afraid to do that in classrooms. I can't stress that enough. You guys get all shy. The camera gives you the power. Be ballsy with it and get down low, get in corners, get up on stools. With permission, don't be distracting. You can get up on tables. I do it all the time. All right, selective focus. This is where we're talking about depth of field. Can't talk. Mouth is tired. This is done with your camera, and where we focus in on the subject matter, and everything else is in the background is blurry. So this is shallow depth of field, where everything else is blurry. You can have deeper depth of field where this stuff is in focus. But selective focus really helps your viewer know what to pay attention to. So we don't have anything interesting going on in this background. It's all blurry. So our eye gets bored and go, oh, well, that's in focus. So you focus in on your subject matter, your focal point. Okay, storytelling takes teamwork. Work as a team to select the best photos. It's not just a one-man job. The whole production team should be in on editing photos, selecting which ones go on the spread, because again, the spread is a product that you are all producing. It's not just the photographer's job to make the final calls. Photographers, you should narrow down your photos to about 30 or 40, and then those 30 and 40 should be narrowed down to 10 to 15 to actually use on your spread. Bring your team in on the discussion. More minds think better than one. All right, build your layouts around your best photos, not the other way around. You can always alter a layout, but if you have a golden, beautiful photo, don't trash it just because you have the wrong orientation of your photo box. You build your layout around your photo. The content is guided by the photos because the photos are what is going to pull our viewer in first and foremost to your spread. So we need to use the best photos possible. Work together to make sure you have a variety. Make sure you have all groups, all races, all perspectives, groupings, variety. Make sure you all work together to ensure that we have variety. If we're showing all girls too much, boys, you need to show, hey, we don't have enough boys in this picture, or we don't have all races represented on this spread, or we don't have some of the quieter kids on this page, it's just popular kids. We all need to work together to make sure that we have variety on our spreads. All right, so photo selection. We're going to look at these two photos, 1 and 2. Which one is better? Quick, ponder. Okay, come back. So I'm hoping that after everything we went through, that your pick is number 2. The reasons why number 2 is better. Number 1 is an okay photo. It would be even better if we cropped it in really wicked tight. So we just got a couple of these girls with our main focal point right here. There's too much excess information. There's too much background. We aren't focusing enough on our subject matter. Number 2 is a better choice because of the orientation. This photo, we're getting a lot more faces, we're getting a lot more coverage, a lot more kids are able to see themselves in the book. In contrast, over here, the only person we're actually able to really see a face is our focal point and like this girl over here. Everybody else, it's like the back of their head. So not as great of a photo. This one's brighter, cropped in tighter. We've got some great leading lines with eyes and hands. We've got some great action-reaction shots. We've got hair flying. It's just all over a better photo. The quality is better. The lighting is better. We've got the girls backlit. They've got kind of this halo. This is our photo. Okay, so those are all things that we need to look at and judge when we're making our photo selections. Variety, this is a better photo for variety as well. Okay, thanks so much, Yurds. I hope I made it really quick. I'll be checking your notes. I know I talk fast, so if you don't get all of your notes taken, make sure you slow me down, pause me. That's why I make videos. All right, bye guys. Hope you have a great day.